Welcome to our Truth Bomb podcast. Did she really say that? My name is Chef Katrina and I'm joined here with
Heidi Muma.
And we're going to talk about your network being your net worth. And I think this is really important as a female entrepreneur, and especially with the ideas of being like a mamapreneur, a solopreneur, all these like solo entities that we talk about in terms of starting a business as a female entrepreneur. And I think this is a critical conversation because I know a lot of times over the years that I've been mentoring, coaching, and working with women entrepreneurs, the one thing that always fascinated me was the comment, well, I haven't told my spouse what I'm doing. Right? Like, this is the best kept secret. I'm going to go ahead and start a business, but I don't want anybody to know. So how do you grow a business in silence? And one of the things that, I came across the other day, and it's a reminder because I've heard this before over the years of this one, but it is your network is your net worth. So like learning to step into environments that maybe feel uncomfortable for us as women, but push us to look at business and who we network with in a totally different way. I think it's important.
It is important. The thing is, like, when you talk about, it's like people don't tell their spouse or they don't tell their people closest to them. And it's like, and I think often it's like, why do we feel that way? Do we feel like they're going to not approve? They're not going to, it's like, are you proud of what you're creating? And it's like, and how do you feel about what you're creating? I think sometimes in the past, I felt like, I wasn't even sure what I was creating. I wanted to create something, but it was like, and then you get, at least I got wrapped up into different products that I really liked, and it was cheaper if you signed up to get it as a associate or whatever than it was to buy it retail. So I was like, so I'd sign up for this business, not really wanting a business, but wanting my products cheaper. And then all of a sudden I felt the pressure to build the business. And I think it was just like, it wasn't something that I sought out to do.
Right.
It was something that I felt I had to do. And I think that's probably why for me, I didn't necessarily share it, because it wasn't something I was necessarily proud of. It was something I wanted to get products cheaper for.
Yeah, so it was more of like, it just made sense financially for you.
It made sense financially, but it also had the sense of I was building a business. It had the sense of it, because that's the word and it's all used. I had the sense of building a business, so it gave me that power of I want to build a business. And it actually, I think, inspired me to actually really want a business that I was proud of. Want a business that I really wanted to build. So I think for me, it got my foot in the door in a lot of different areas. It helped me to meet a lot of different people. But it wasn't but it took a while for me to find something that I was truly passionate and wanting to share about.
Yeah. I think that's one of the interesting things I hear from most women is they do find themselves in the world of direct sales, network marketing, affiliate marketing, because it's the product's already built, right? And as a female entrepreneur and as one with children or a career or all of that, right? Husband, everything, spouse, significant other, there's a lot going on in our lives. So sometimes we want to start a business, but we don't know what business we want to be in.
Yeah.
So I think there is a benefit to getting into these companies and having these products already designed for us.
Yeah.
And then we can basically, they pay us if we're taking action to learn the skill set of what it is to be an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
Because I hear that a lot, and maybe you can attest to this, but I hear a lot of women that go into that multi-level network marketing, direct sales, affiliate marketing industry, and then leave.
Yeah.
And do something completely different, like design completely different businesses. Really, it's like their starting point. It gives them the sense of what a business might look like.
Yeah.
And then they're off and running doing their own thing.
Right. And I think that's what happened for me. And I've seen it happen in a lot of different people. And especially the ones who really do get successful.
Yeah.
They don't necessarily always continue to sell the product. They then turn into coaches for the people who are in the business.
Yeah.
And if you really can transition to what it looks like to actually be a coach to help people succeed, that really is an incredible way to actually have that business. But what I think, it's like the biggest benefit I think for those companies is often like we talked about, your network is your net worth.
Yeah.
And you're talking to people who want to better their lives,
Yep.
who want to do something different, who want to, and it's like once you enter the entrepreneur world, whether it's affiliate marketing, network marketing, or coaching, or brick and mortar business, being an entrepreneur takes something. And you then start looking at personal development. You start looking at yourself and what's holding you back from doing what you know you need to do to build the business.
Yeah.
And I think for me, it's like being part of that network of people who are looking at different ways of making money than the traditional working for somebody else, working for corporate America. You're looking at different avenues. You're being more creative. You're being more innovative. You're looking at things differently, and I love that. And I love being around people like that because it really helped me in so many ways of my own personal development. And it's like, and sometimes it's better than counseling. I mean, quite frankly,
Yeah,
it has those moments.
it does. Well, and I think you made a really valid point around, when we meet these women and we get into these events, it is about self-development, because really to be an entrepreneur it's not high risk, it's also high reward. Mm-hmm. But really, I think what entrepreneurship teaches and what I've learned over the years is that I am the creator of what I'm doing in my business, whether it's working for somebody else in a career, whether it was my time as being a chef at Disney, whether it was like anything that I've done in the corporate world.
Yeah.
I was still personally responsible for myself, but I never had that mindset because I was able to blame it on the person I co-worked with or the company, or like I could always pass the buck. It wasn't me, it was them. Right.
Right.
But when you talk about
It was a system they set up.
Yeah, it was
not
their
your
system. Yeah, it was totally flawed from the beginning. Right. And I think this is why a lot of women leave the corporate world, amongst other reasons. It's both the time commitment, the fact that they're taking care of family or caregiving or everything else that we're meant to do. And we're in the business of networking. Mm-hmm. One of the things that I really love about being an entrepreneur is the network. The network that I've created over the last 15 plus years of individuals has inspired me, both whether they were a client that now has gone on to create a multiple 6-7 figure business. Yeah. Right. Like I'm super proud that they were able to continue down their path. Right. Yeah. And I celebrate every entrepreneur that I've been in contact with because each one has been on its own journey. Each of them have been on that piece. But what I love about them is that I know who I have in my network that I can recommend if something comes up. Yep. Right? And I hear that from a lot of women all the time. They're like, I really wish I knew somebody that did this. Or I wish I knew somebody that could help me do this. Or who would you recommend? Because I think for a lot of us, it is about building trust. Yeah. And so many of us have been scammed in the world of online marketing. I mean, how many things have we bought and purchased which turned out to be nothing like their promise? Right. Right. And I loved back in the day, the comment, it was like, under promise, over deliver. Yes. One of the things I found fascinating about working with women is that they would always overpromise and overdeliver. Yes. Right? Like I was trying to figure that out because we could never as women just settle that we would just deliver what we have. We always go above and beyond. Like I don't think we don't know how to not do that, right? Yeah. And I think that's where the boundaries and our limitations start coming into play because we really do have this caring, empathetic nature for humanity. Yep. So no matter who we do business with or interact with, we feel compelled to really support, help, and build people up. So when you look at who is in your network, I think the network is a critical element of a small business owner. Yeah. And so many times we are here and we perpetuate through social media this solopreneur aspect, right? Oh my gosh. This mamapreneur aspect. And I feel like they're building silos of independence, but also cutting themselves off.
Because we pride ourselves on how independent we are and how self-sufficient we are. And it's just like, that's a badge of honor that I'm tired of.
Yeah.
I'm just like, I mean, I'd rather be so lately it's like I've been really looking into networking groups that are in our local area. And I have found here in Georgia some phenomenal ones. And the thing that is really the best thing that I have found about them is meeting these women that I consider super connectors. Like they are just and it's social and business.
Yep.
It's not just like I'm not just solely looking for business networking, because quite frankly, I think women, it's like when we recommend each other regardless. If it's like if I'm a business person or if I'm in corporate,
yeah.
If I know somebody, I love to see women recommending other women. And it's like when they know somebody who needs their services.
Right.
And it's like, but these groups that are the most powerful groups are all led by these women that are seriously super connectors.
Yeah.
And I love that about them. And I love that it's like, because when 2020 hit, ladies, I'm so over Zoom. I'm so over meeting online, meeting in these little Brady Bunch cubicles and squares. And so it's like, I really do encourage you to seek out local networks, whether it's, and you do find them online. You do find them on Facebook. You do find them on Meetup or Eventbrite or these different avenues. But to really meet in person with other women and to discover your network of really amazing, you'd be surprised. And it's funny how the different local groups will recommend the other local groups.
Yes.
And that's how you connect all these women, and it's super powerful. I've been not disappointed by the groups that we've been meeting up with.
Yeah. It's something interesting that you said too, is that, oftentimes when we network, it is all business. Like it's a competitive business, right? Like, yeah. And I'm not knocking any of these entities that I'm about to mention, but I feel like they're so structured and set up for business, for getting the referral, for making the dollar. And the fact that you have to report in how much money you make from the referrals of these networks is to me, it feels like it's so masculine in energy. It gives no room for the social aspect. Mm-hmm. And even if you are, in these groups that are local, these networking, these business networking groups, I feel like this sole focus is so much on business, but women, we like a social aspect.
Absolutely.
We want to communicate and get to know you, because the relationship over your business is way more important. But I think sometimes we forget that. Mm-hmm. And then the other thing that you brought up that I thought was really important was that we do have a lot of communities online.
Yeah.
Right. There are, like, you can go, I think Facebook still probably holds the largest amount of communities and groups. Yeah. Mm-hmm. For now. They really made that push a few years back to really host some of the largest communities, because they recognize communities really are what drive community, right? Yeah. It drives the economy, it drives everything.
Yeah.
And what I found really interesting is I go into these groups that we're a part of, is that even though they're online, the women still put in there, hey, I live in this area. I would love to meet women that are here local.
Yeah, there's always a post every couple of months. They'll have a local post, connect with local women.
Yeah,
and I love that. Or the
request for it.
Yeah,
there'll be women that go in there and say, "Hey, I'm in this area. Is there any other women here that we can connect with?" Because the one thing I like about the online communities is that they've cultivated a like-minded group of individuals. Mm-hmm. So I think when you get into that group of like-minded individuals that really connect with what you want to do, right? Both socially, businessly, economically, all of that, right? Yeah. Parenting, all of that. They're so critical elements, these communities that we tap into. And then at the same time, there is this desire to meet in person those type of people.
Yeah.
Because oftentimes we don't go outside our own front door. We are behind our computer more and more. Technology has been both a blessing and a curse, mm-hmm. right? It is about nurturing that relationship. And I think women intuitively feed off of and do better when they're in an energetic, which means person to person. Yes, I know for a fact we can get that energy online. I know we can communicate in multiple different ways. but there's something about that face-to-face,
Definitely.
that in-person interaction that really connects women together. So when we look at, your network is your net worth. I think sometimes as women, we are afraid to step into the next, I guess, financial class of women. Right? I remember I was talking with a lady the other day, and I was mentioning one of the groups we're a part of. She goes, wow, that's a really high-end area that you're going into. Like, and I was like, yeah, but it's still women. So like there's this still to this day, there's this financial status barrier where we don't think we can cross, or you might not be in that same level of income. So you might think that you won't fit in.
You don't belong.
You don't belong. Oh my gosh. The whole self conversation you're probably having with yourself. Like, I could never be there. I'm not at that status. And I hear this even amongst women that we talk to inside Truth Bomb Academy. I'm not a millionaire yet. I don't have a business yet. I don't think I'm ready for you. But it's like, you don't know until you open that door or you cross that threshold into the event. Will you fully experience a new way of being?
Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm. I love the group. Okay. So it is in a high end area but the people that are there are not, I mean, they're all ranges.
Oh yeah.
They're all ranges. So it's like, and everybody like raves about how comfortable and welcoming and lovely the women are.
Yep.
Now I'm sure there's people who may not be, but they're overwhelmed by the kindness and welcomeness of others.
Yeah.
And I hate when we look at people's financial, like what they appear to be financially. Because you can appear any way you want.
True. Especially online.
And it's just like, but even in person, yes, some people are dressed to the nines and some people are dressed in their jeans and a nice shirt. But it doesn't mean anything.
Yeah.
It's at the end of the day.
There was a great book I read. It's called The Millionaire Next Door. If you haven't read it, I definitely recommend it. And it talks about, the millionaires that are in the jeans and the t-shirts, that don't dress up to the nines, aren't in that isn't in their world, right?
Right.
But they're still the millionaires. Like the millionaires that could be your next door neighbor that you never know is a millionaire because they don't conform to the social media's view of a millionaire, multimillionaire, billionaire status, right? There's a lot of perceptions around. And I think we find it interesting when people lie low and they don't say anything and they just do their what they do. And what I love about the women that we've been connecting with in our network is that they are genuine.
They are.
And I think that was one of the big things when we started looking for groups. And you have to go out and find them.
You do.
You're going to probably find some good groups that you connect with. You'll find networks that you're like, this doesn't feel right. Trust your intuition, ladies, to really find that. But I also encourage you is to find social events to partake in. Like we get so wrapped up in the world of business because we're in this competitive mode. We're competing with the men. We're competing with other women. We are competing with just about everybody, including ourselves. Right? And I think it's really interesting when you step back and you start learning how to support another woman. And you support them, even maybe you're not at where you want to be financially or successfully in your business. But when we learn to support and be there at all aspects of life. And I saw this post the other day and I thought it was fabulous. It's like, what if we had, every time a woman built a business or started a business, we threw a business startup party for them. And we brought together women, resources, and tools to help them start their business.
I saw that. That was fascinating.
Right?
It's just like, I love that because it's like, for women especially, it's like you're birthing a business. And sometimes, we take 9 months to bake a child. It takes 9 months to a year to build a business.
Yeah.
And to have that celebration of, it's like your launch of your business, and to have that celebration and that support from those around you, that would be beautiful.
Yeah.
That would be beautiful.
I would love
it would require you sharing that you're starting a business.
Yes. Check that out, right? Well, and it's so funny because that was something I started to recognize was that we've been building Truth Bomb in a lot of different ways, but I personally haven't been going out and talking about what we've been building And on the flip side of that, I also know that what we've been building has taken a lot of energy, refinement, testing, right? Asking women to try something completely different than what they've been told, taught, trained around business, and then looking for the tangible outcome of it. Because a lot of what we had to shift inside the Truth Bomb Academy in the world of business training was and this was the one thing that we really dove into when we said, okay, we're going to teach the female business school, right? But what does the female business school look like? Because a lot of what we do as women is intangible.
True.
So how do you teach intangible, right? And make it tangible, right?
Yes.
So it was really looking at a lot of cross-referencing and bringing back into existence some of the things women naturally do to spark our creativity, to reignite our authenticity as a female entrepreneur. We started off with everything from, okay, women know more about business than men. That was our first conversation, is what women know about business that men don't. And that was the start. And I was like totally like anti-male. I do apologize for the beginning part of our journey. It evolved into more of like, okay, self-development, like what do women need to focus on? And we did a lot with meditation, a lot with the thinking, feeling, belief loop, right? We went through a lot of that. And then really the evolution came about as we were working with women and we had different breakthroughs. There were different techniques that were coming out there. Things like coloring, things like sound, things like sitting in silence, things like around building your brand, understanding your finances. We started looking for I guess what I would call the outlier information, the information that was on the fringe or had been buried.
Yeah.
And like kind of like breathing life back into it again. Because I think as women in business, we squashed a lot of our own intuition. I mean, I can speak for myself. I remember having a conversation and with a female, and I really did feel like I was dead from the neck down. I mean, I didn't understand my own body. I stopped listening to it because I was all in my head around everything. I was super analytical. I was in the world of business. Guys didn't want to know what was happening from the neck down as a female. Right? They didn't want nothing to do. That was all hormonal. So you learn to shut down your body. And when we started diving into this world of female entrepreneurship, it's like, oh, hell. Right? Like, I got to get back into this. So it's through the evolution of like, what are the female hormones? What are the cycles that we go through month to month as women? How do we honor that and build within that energetic flow that goes over 28 days to 32 days instead of trying to compact everything in our lives into a 24-hour day, which doesn't fit our natural rhythm, right? And so that was interesting. You're kind of pulling up your lip over there. What do you got?
Oh, I don't know. It was just fascinating. It was like, because I mean, it's hard to even, I think, as we're studying this, to wrap your brain around how it's like our whole lives and culturally we set our day up in a 24-hour day. And it's like, but how do we, like, when you're looking at how females, it's like, when you talk about a 28-day cycle, and it's just like, but I'm so used to the 24-hour day. It's like, I set up my day. I know what I have to do today. And it's like, but when we expand it and we look at, it's like, no, I have the whole month to look at, not just this one day. And it's really about our energy. And it's really about because as we go throughout the month, our energy levels change. We have weeks that we have a lot more energy. We get a lot done. We have more creativity. We have this nesting instinct almost, and it's like we're more productive. But then there's weeks that you really do need to rest. And it's like, and it's for your overall health, for your overall minds,
it's psyche.
I'm trying to think. My block is losing words here. But like your psychological, physical, and emotional health.
And that's often overlooked in the world of business because we don't talk about it because we've been downgraded right? Women are hormonal, you're too emotional, whatever. But a lot of that has been the misunderstanding, even for ourselves as women, on what that emotional, hormonal experience actually is.
Yeah, we haven't had the words to explain it, really. It's like, it's like, I'm just cranky. I'm just hormonal. Leave me alone.
Yeah, we've downplayed it all.
But there's also reasons why you're hormonal or moody or emotional, and
we don't track that. And I think the only time women really start tracking their feminine cycle, their hormonal, is for those women that are specifically looking to get pregnant. And so then we start tracking it.
Right.
Then it's important. Then it becomes something we're looking at, right?
For sure.
But what's interesting is that when we look at our hormones as women overall and how we are taking care of ourselves, our family, our business, and interacting in our life, we start to recognize for the first time, and the science is here to prove this. Like, we're not making this shit up. I will just tell you that, right?
But we do make shit up, but
we
not
do make
this.
shit up, but not this, because we've been researching it. I've actively been looking for books written by women that talk specifically about being a female.
Yeah.
Because there aren't enough of them in reality, and that is, I think, starting to shift and change. And I love the women that have been pioneering for the last 60 years women's health.
Yeah.
Because they really have been. Because now we're the doctors, we're lawyers, we're in the science labs, we're engineers. Like, we are in the world now more than ever.
Yeah.
And we have questions that now we have access to tools and research to find the answers to these that we've never had before.
Right.
Right? Why do our bodies react to certain medicines differently? Why does our body react to food differently? Why does, how does this temperature or my body temp, like I watched a video of this earlier, it says that most corporate offices are set 5 degrees lower than the comfort of a female body, because it's all geared around
the men.
A male's internal temperature for him. So office temperature is set to make women uncomfortable, right? And it's not through a default of their own, but these are the little nuances that we're discovering as women, right? And the awareness that's coming for us as women in this conversation, I think, has been brilliant.
Yeah.
Because now we're saying, okay, what would it look like if women could have childcare at their work? What would it look? And now we're asking questions and really looking for a more holistic solution.
Yeah.
And women are now part of the conversation. Because before, the problem solving wasn't left to the women. It was left to the men to figure out how to implement this. And so we really are rewriting the fabric of what it is to be an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
And how it looks in our day-to-day, how businesses operate. And I think that's one of the most fascinating parts about being inside Truth Bomb Academy and the discussions we're having with women, is that we're learning for them, like, okay, they're starting, like, we can actually start seeing the signs of burnout before they do. And we start asking them questions around self-care. Right? We actually bring that into the conversation as we walk women through, how are you building and scaling your business? Right? We're going to talk about your brand. We're going to talk about brand identity. We're going to talk about your audience. We're going to talk about money. We're definitely going to be talking about marketing. Marketing and money are the big ones.
Yeah.
But what I always found interesting, what frustrated me, is I'd be sitting in mastermind groups with a whole bunch of guys, and I'd be like, you guys only teach marketing. But I'm making the money, but I'm not keeping the money. What am I doing wrong? And nobody could answer that question for me, because they're so focused on the fact of building a business and making the money. But when I started asking about how are you sustaining the company, how are you building for the long term, the majority of the answers I got are, well, I'm building this to sell it off.
Yeah.
Great, but how do you create the sustainability? And then when I started diving deeper into financials for most businesses, I think the stat, and don't quote me on this, but it's somewhere around this, is like 80% of small businesses are struggling financially.
Yeah.
Like, they're barely keeping the lights on month to month, whether it's a coaching program, whether it's somebody that's built a business, because you can make the 6 figures. But I honestly know, truthfully, I have seen as many women make 6 figures to not have that same income level 2 to 3 years later.
Yeah, you could, I mean, even if you have $1 million in profit, if you're spending $950,000 to make that $1 million, you're barely making it by.
Yeah.
And it's like, or some of them are spending $1.5 million to make that $1 million. And it's just like, just because, like, so we look at a successful business as, oh my gosh, they're making 6 figures. Yeah, they might be bringing it in, but if they're spending just as much to make it, It's not a profitable business.
And not even that. How many female business owners do we know that don't even take a profit?
Too many.
Too many
and
of
it's
us.
Just like, and
they are willing to, and I'm so guilty of this, by the way. This is why I bring this up. So guilty of this.
I know.
I would pay everybody else first.
Yep.
And then my payment would be like, well, I need to buy a new computer for business.
Yeah.
And this would be my income, right?
More women's way of paying themselves is buying something that they need for the business. You may use it outside of the business also, like your computer.
Yeah.
But it's like, it's a business expense. And so that's how I'm paying myself because I bought myself a new computer.
Yeah.
That's not paying yourself. That's buying your business an asset.
But I thought it was like, I was like, yeah, I'm paying myself. But it would be like, I would, if I needed to cover a bill that was personal, I would take money from the business and say, okay, this is my salary. And I would pay a personal bill. Or I'd go, buy a couple pairs of clothes or whatever. But I never was taught in the world of business, in all the years of the companies that I work with, there was never a training that said, this is how you're structuring your business financially so that you create profit, you create an owner's comp, you know what your expenses are. Like, we talk about this, but the details of this are like skimmed over.
Yeah.
And even in most financial books that we're reading, things like Rich Dad, Poor Dad, things like The Profit First, it's a skim over. And so you get this sense of doing it, but like, how do you incorporate that? How do you wrap your mind around it to actually implement what you're hearing? So I think it was interesting how we've had to bring that into this conversation.
Mm-hmm.
I get we all have money blocks. I think, but a lot of our money blocks come because we don't know how to treat the money.
Yeah.
And I think once we learn how to treat money and set up buckets in the beginning of our business, the amount of money blocks that we will have, I think, will lessen dramatically.
Yeah.
So yes, we can do, the energetic tapping. We can go and write down letters to our money, and we can do all of this. But I think the manifestation of that, the actual physical scene of that, is by what we teach in sort of the cash management and what we've learned to actually implement for ourselves.
Yeah.
Right? Because otherwise it's just this arbitrary, oh, that sounds great, but this is what business is telling me I should be doing, and the shoulding needs to stop. The amount of shoulding in this world has got to be stopped. So we looked for outlier information because we wanted to find the newer ways of doing business that actually make sense with how we flow as women.
Yeah.
And how we honor energy. And there's some really great training and some great businesswomen out there. And I think as over time, we'll start connecting more and more with them.
Definitely.
And start shifting the conversation that we've been stuck in due to how we received our training. Mm-hmm. And then we just made it work. But it's not about making something work or forcing something to work that's against our intuitive nature. It's about now finding that balance that falls into our rhythm.
Yep.
So I love what we're building in Truth Bomb Academy. If you want to know more about what we're creating, definitely head over to truthbombmarketing.com. Learn more about the Truth Bomb Academy. We'd love to have you join as a member. Enrollment is open. Other than that, if you are listening to us on your favorite podcasting platform, please give us a
5-star. Not 4.
Not 4?
Not 4.
That's
5.
5 star.
5 star.
And share this out. We love when we hear from you. And also on some of our platforms, you guys have the ability to interact with us, ask questions. We would love to hear from you. We would love to know if there's any topics, any conversations, anything that we've brought up that you're like, I would like to know a little bit more about that, or I have a question for this.
And where is your favorite place to network? Where have you found phenomenal women to connect with, to collaborate, to recommend? I would love to hear it because I love seeing where women are finding other fantastic, phenomenal women.
Ooh, I like this. All right. So thank you guys for joining us today on our Truth Bomb podcast. Did she really say that? And we'll see you on the next episode.